This is the first real quarter since the Randgold Barrick merger, also since the JV was announced with Newmont. The big headline, though, was the asset sales, about $1.5 billion through next year. What are you selling?
So the non-core assets, those assets that we feel would be better in other people's hands. I think as you say, a solid quarter, and all our assets, apart from those going to closure, performed in line with plan. We had no assets that didn't make a contribution to the bottom line. But as we said, we really want to focus on tier 1 assets and tier 2 assets, and those assets that don't particularly fit our strategic filters, we're going to look to put them in other people's hands.
Who are those other people, and what's the interest that you can gauge so far?
So we've started working towards that. I mean, the most important thing, remember, is ensuring that our stakeholders, the other parts of the businesses, are consulted properly, that we do it in a way that they benefit, and that we don't just, it's not a fire sale, it's a considered process, and we'll work with those stakeholders, and we will let the market know when we're ready to let them know, once we've got a way forward for each of those assets.
Well, fair point, because I'm looking at gold prices at $1,289. Is this a good market? How do you categorize the market that you'd be selling these assets into, aka do you need to wait?
So I think these assets are all quality assets. They're not assets that are, that are being sold because they're not making a contribution. In fact, if anything, we believe that we'll be able to add a bit more value to some of these assets before we actually engage with the market to be able to. And we're going to be very focused on selecting people that we feel will make a contribution, because some of these assets are in countries where we want to continue to invest in those countries. So it's an important consideration to work with our host country governments to make sure that these assets are continue to make a contribution to those host countries.
Meaning that you want the assets to be good no matter what the gold price. Is that what I can understand from that, Mark?
Yes, I think the gold price is really, while it's important, it's not a key factor in realizing these assets. Some of the assets that we would look to realize, we wouldn't exit from them immediately. We would be there to support the business going forward, and we'll exit over time, for instance. Because again, we've always said our business is about creating value, not only for our shareholders, which is very important, but also for all other stakeholders, including our host countries.
Do you have to, in order to keep adding value for shareholders, buy anything else, or are you kind of tapped out? Do you have all the assets you want, Mark?
Alix, this is such a great business that we've put together. The asset portfolio, as we recognize, puts us way ahead of our peers as far as quality of those assets. We are absolutely comfortable with the quality of our people, and particularly the executive team. And when you combine a good group of people with high quality assets, you're gonna deliver better results financially. And so that's what we set out to do. We are well on track to do that. As I'm going to say this morning, this is a long game. We are very clear about delivering long-term value for our shareholders. We were able to reinforce our new policy that we promised, dividend that we promised to the market at the time of the merger. It was supported by cash flow, which is important. And so, and again, if there are opportunities that would create further value for our owners through another acquisition or some sort of deal, we wouldn't hesitate to pick up on that. But right now, really, we've got a lot on our plate, and we're excited about the future and our ability to deliver.
Yeah, you're definitely a busy man. I'm sure one of the questions on the call is going to be how it's going with Newmont. Are you still standing by the $4.7 billion in synergies, and what's the timeline for delivering on all of that?
So we are working really well with Newmont. We've set aside the past, and really we've been working, and it's again another exciting opportunity, and the commitment of the people in Nevada has been absolutely out of this world, and we're all excited about what we're doing. We're working hand in glove with Newmont. We are working towards closing this transaction this quarter. As you know, all the regulatory stuff is now behind us.
Yeah.
But it's a big project, and we want to make sure that we do it right, particularly with regards to the people.
Really quickly, Mark, like 15 seconds, the gold price. What do you think it's going to be when we're having a lot of geopolitical risk in the foreground?
You know, Alix, you've seen this industry's in a difficult position. The gold price is flat. It's hurting the industry. People haven't invested in their future. We're seeing consolidation for survival more and more. And I think that, you know, the gold price is bound to go higher than to go lower.